All right, welcome. Sports Mashup number 96, February 1st, 2023. First one of the month of February. We'll begin, of course, in the NBA where Pacers center Miles Turner, former future Phoenix Sun, get that one in for you, 2 years, $60 million extension for him. If I had it my way, of course, as I'm trying to find a way to snake the Suns into this conversation, they should have let DeAndre Ayton go to the Pacers when he signed the offer sheet with them last year, and Miles Turner should be a Phoenix Sun. But that's just me. That's just my thoughts.
Can't win them all.
Yep, and, DeAndre Ayton is not good. Anyway, trade deadline next week, so that'll be good for everybody. Jordan Brand All-Star Game jerseys unveiled. You think they look dope? I don't know. I'm a little bit out on them.
Like, I like the blue and the black version better than the orange to yellow.
It's very Utah with the fact that it's in Utah, and that's the Jazz uniforms they had last year to look like that. But
the best is, like, if they're not picking right before the game, like, are they just going to have to make a jersey for everyone for both teams with their name and number on it? And then, like, when they pick them, like,
they got enough money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure Jordan.
What if they're reversible?
How many All-Star players are there? Like 10 on each side?
I think there might be a few more than that. Might be 24 total.
Yeah, so like 12 on each side. So making only 24 jerseys.
Reversible jerseys.
Well, not all of them can do that. Only the best of the best can do that.
I mean,
and they don't have a dope logo either.
Fair. I will say this. I'm kind of just in favor of just having them wear their normal NBA jersey for this game.
I don't mind that either. But then you have, like, some of the home jerseys still, like, clash with some of the teams' away jerseys with their color scheme.
Take a page out of the NHL's book where they try to just recreate the classics of the past. The NHL's All-Star jerseys this year are a nod to the 90s.
Didn't they used to also, they'd have, like, one team in a certain color, one the other, but they'd still put the team's logo on the jersey?
Yeah, they did do that at one point. Yeah. I don't know.
But then again, with this picking style,
and changes things, yeah.
I mean, you'd still do that, the two versions. You'd make 48 jerseys instead of 24.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that's what they're done. Or they've had to have made 48.
Yeah.
But then maybe the guy can take home the other one. They can get both of them.
It's true.
Damian Lillard dropped 60 on the Jazz last Wednesday. He shot 21 of 29 from the field, 9 of 15 from 3, 9 of 10 from the free throw. So, I mean, 12 from 14 from the field. Unreal shooting line.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've seen him do this before, probably.
But, I mean, just an unreal shooting line, though.
Yeah.
He only missed 2 shots inside the three-point line. Surprisingly, I can't believe he only shot 10 free throws.
It's true, especially with the way the NBA is today.
And then you got LeBron now needs, after last night's big performance, 89 points to pass Kareem for the NBA all-time scorer. His next matchups are tomorrow against the Pacers, the 4th against New Orleans. These are both away. And February 7th at home against OKC.
I think he'll do it early in that home game.
That's what I'm saying. I think it waits, and he does it in LA.
Yeah.
Who wants to do it in? Oh, he's definitely not doing it in Indy.
Probably.
And then Kyrie had sent a thing complimenting him. He said the NBA gave the keys to the entire business to an 18-year-old kid, and now he's 38 years old and he's still dominating. We should congratulate him and celebrate him as much as possible.
Devin Booker's better.
Well, this is Kyrie also probably trying to maybe get traded to LA or something.
Maybe.
But Russell Westbrook also last night, he did pass Gary Payton. He's now number 10 in assists in history. So, I mean, he should pass Isaiah Thomas and Oscar Robinson. And then he's only 1,200 behind Magic Johnson and LeBron. So he'll get up there. Stat leaders through last night's games. Points per game is now Joel Embiid at 33.6. Team points per game is the Kings still at 119.5.
Rebounds per game. Kings Domantas Sabonis 12.4, and the team rebound leader is the Bucks at 48.8.
Assists still Tyrese Halliburton at 10.2. Team Warriors at 29.6.
Blocks per game, Nick Claxton 2.7 for the Nets. The Nets also lead in team blocks per game at 6.9. Nick Claxton should be Defensive Player of the Year. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Steals per game is now Jimmy Butler at 2.1. Team steal per game is the Raptors at 9.2.
Field goal percentage, Nick Claxton at 74.1. Team field goal percentage is the Nets at 50.9, 51.
Three-pointers made, Buddy Hield from the Pacers at 197. Probably soon to be caught by Steph.
Yeah.
Oh, and then team threes made is the Warriors at 825.
Three-point percentage leader Luke Kennard of the Clippers at 47.2. Obviously cheated his way to pass Damian Lee.
And Damian Lee's like fourth on the list now.
Well, he's been having to chuck him up more, obviously. And then team three-point percentage is the Nuggets at 39.7.
And team free throw is the Celtics at 83%.
All-Star Weekend, February 17th through the 19th. You also got the trade deadline, 8 days, February 9th, trade deadline. A big day that will be, especially in my neck of the woods, which is not even close to where I'm living, but the Phoenix Suns expected to do some stuff, certainly.
Yeah, me being I like the Celtics and the Mavs. Curious to see what they do. I don't think the Celtics really do much anything. Curious if the Mavs do anything.
I would think the Mavs will do something, but they also kind of are weighed down a little bit by the Dorian Finney-Smith contract, Tim Hardaway Jr., both those guys making like a combined $38 million. That's not ideal.
No, but I think they think that they could trade Reggie Bullock and maybe somebody else and maybe try getting a big man. Maybe someone that can do the screen and roll and screen and pop game with Luka.
If they'd like to get involved with the Phoenix Suns, they could probably get DeAndre Ayton in like a 3-team deal.
Yeah, I don't think he's a pick and pop guy.
Hey, he can shoot.
You know what I mean.
He can do that. He's just terrible defensively.
Yeah.
And doesn't really play physical at all. But other than that, he's a heck of a skilled player. All right.
And then the captains were named. It's LeBron and Giannis, and they will be the ones picking their teams live right before the game.
All right. On to the NFL. Conference championship weekend is over.
Yeah. The first one was kind of cool. It was the Eagles versus the Niners. The honorary captains they had for the games, they had Jerry Rice for the Niners and Brian Dawkins for the Eagles.
Should have been Donovan McNabb.
But the Eagles won 31-7. Purdy starts and finishes the game with no incompletions. Eagles just use every back they have to run 44 times. Turnovers also hurt the Niners with 3 bad fumbles.
Well, the big thing for the Eagles is that they could pretty much rush the quarterback with like 9 different guys almost. Probably the most under the radar stat of the entire season is the fact that the Eagles were 2 sacks away from tying the all-time record for sacks by a team in a season.
Graham had like 16, Cox.
Reddick had a lot.
And then they brought in
Sue and Hargrave was already there. They brought in Robert Quinn.
Yeah,
they had 70 sacks this season. The 84 Bears had 72.
And,
I feel like that's a very under the radar stat.
But in how many less games did the Bears do that?
I don't know how many games are they playing then.
That's what I'm saying. Less than they play now.
Might have just been 1 less. I mean, look, that was weirdly enough, it wasn't the 85 Bears. The 84 Bears, 16 games, 10-6.
But is that including the whole their?
That's the regular season, 16 regular season games.
So one less game.
Yeah, they had Richard Dent had 17.5, Dan Hampton had 11.5, Steve McMichael had 10, Mike Hartenstein had 7, and they had a bunch of guys with a couple. So
I mean, that's more impressive for them that they have that record with a game less.
yeah. But there's also less I feel like if teams wanted to protect their quarterback in different ways with the way the NFL is now in terms of schemes and stuff, they could do it a lot easier now than they could have back then.
With that, and there was definitely way less scramblers back then.
And there was more bad teams back then, but still. Yeah, the Eagles this game was over right when Purdy went out. Didn't matter. And then Johnson goes out, and then Purdy comes back in and can't throw.
Yeah, he was 4 for 4.
Yeah, but he couldn't really actually make any plays.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what's the QB situation in San Francisco now. Probably Trey Lance if he's healthy week 1, because it looks like Purdy, Tommy John.
Hold on, we'll get there. I got it.
Well, I'm just
you
saying.
get to the night game.
Chiefs beat the Bengals 23-20. Questionable officiating, certainly, but the Chiefs stepped up late on both sides of the ball to win. Chris Jones with a big sack, had 2 in the game. The officiating, as is the usual standard in the NFL, was not great, but the Chiefs made the plays they needed to make, and also Butker's kick was good from 80. So, I mean,
Yeah, first, when I first saw it, I thought it was short just because you couldn't tell where the ball was at. And then when you saw the other angle, I'm like, oh, glad this guy was my fantasy kicker all year.
Didn't have a season up to his standard, I would say.
Well, no, he got hurt early and then was out a couple games.
Yeah, they tried to have the punter kick some field goals against the somebody's, and it didn't go well.
Well, speaking of the punter, you had is it Brett Kern?
Sure, yeah.
He booms. He's an old Titans punter.
Yeah.
He boomed the ball, hit the Skycam cable. NFL, they say no. Yet McAfee did the whole replay of it. He's like, drop ball, perfect spiral, going up, and then makes a hard left turn.
Yeah.
And that they never showed a replay of the punt. And you would think if it hit the Skycam cable, that Skycam would bounce. But they never showed any view from the Skycam.
Yeah.
So now the Super Bowl matchup, Chiefs versus Eagles, next Sunday, February 12th at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona.
So we'll discuss that next week.
You had the Packers and Rodgers at a crossroads trade possible, which I saw one where they trade him to Seattle and they receive DK Metcalf, Seattle's first-round pick, which is the 5th pick, which they take CJ Stroud, the Seattle's first-round 20th pick, which just has them taking Michael Mayer at their original 15th pick, and then 20 they have them taking Bijan Robinson. But then they also get Seattle's round 2 pick, 2 round 2 picks, and a round 5 pick.
I would like to see the drugs that the person that came up with that is on.
The other one was them trading Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Doesn't say what they were going to get for him, but then they would get their 13th, or they would just get their 13th pick overall. And it has them drafting DeJuan Jones off the tackle, Ohio State.
So I think there's, outside of the Packers, I think there are 3 teams, 2 above the other, that I could see the Packers trading Rodgers to. Number 1, he's not going to be traded in the NFC, I didn't think. Number 2, I think with Brady retiring, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think that certainly makes it to where Rodgers is going to play next year. Number 3, I think the Jets and Raiders are the 2 teams that I would view as very possible. And then I think the outside shot is Tennessee, which I don't see as possible given their roster. But
I think he'd want receivers.
There's also a chance that he returns to Green Bay, which I feel like is probably not going to happen. I think it's the right move to move on now. But I think that's pretty much the scenarios that I see. with the Jets, you'd have a really good defense, an offensive line that should be better next season, a couple tight ends that you can rely on. Plus, I think Garrett Wilson's going to be a superstar, and they can still add a receiver in the draft or just sign somebody. And then with the Raiders, you have Renfro, you have him and Devontae obviously were great together. You have a running game, Waller, who gets hurt a lot, and the Packers have tried to trade for Waller 3 times, so maybe they can get him in this deal. So yeah, that's where I think we'll know more after the Super Bowl, but I think he'll be back for sure.
And then that same draft that has them getting the 13th pick has the Bears taking Jalen Carter from Georgia, then Stroud, Will Levis, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, which Bryce Young is going to Seattle on that deal, Tyree Wilson, Broderick Jones. It has you taking DeJuan Jones at 13 and then Michael Mayer at 15. So whoever is taking all these mocks, they love Mayer going to Green Bay.
I have absolutely zero interest in taking a tight end in the first round.
I do
zero.
Like this mock this week. It's the same place from last week. They have the Bucks and I taking Bijan Robinson.
I would not like that big if I were a Bucks fan. I think if you need to know anything, it's that look at the Chiefs. Would pretty much they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, but who are they using the most? Or who they've been using the most this entire time? Pacheco, who was even drafted. He was like a 5th-round guy, I think, out of Rutgers, and then
Edwards-Helaire got hurt early.
But they would use Pacheco over him anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, they didn't know what he was going to do at first.
Aaron Jones is a 5th-round pick. I mean, there's a lot of value in running backs outside of the first round.
But going back to the Super Bowl, you have 2 rivalries. You got the Kelsey rivalry, Travis and Jason. And then you have A.J. Brown and Willie Gay Jr. They both went to the same high school, grew up 5 minutes away from one another, won a state championship together, and now they're playing in the Super Bowl against each other.
Yeah, I will be rooting for this team on my shirt. I will be rooting for them. Okay, go Birds. All right. Eagles fly, Eagles fly. Eagles by 40.
Dolphins hire Fangio as their next defensive coordinator.
Good.
So I don't know what happened with that whole thing with as we get to Sean Payton retired, but thought Fangio was supposed to be his defensive coordinator.
True, but going to Denver, awkward.
Niners quarterback Brock Purdy has torn UCL in his elbow. Suffered a complete tear of UCL. Will undergo surgery, but he's getting a second opinion. But the initial hope is he can undergo a repair, not a reconstruction, aka Tommy John, and will be ready for training camp.
Well, I saw a report that said he was going to do the Tommy John or has to do the Tommy John. So I don't know what's actually going to happen.
That's what I think. He's getting a second opinion to see if they can repair it instead of having to do Tommy John.
Well, either way, the Niners are in a weird spot with the QB situation.
Yeah.
I think
Jimmy Garoppolo's going to be able to go.
Shanahan already said he's going to leave in free agency, so that's over. I have to think it's going to be Trey Lance or –
No, that's what I'm saying. Garoppolo's going somewhere.
Yeah. But it's all confirmed now. I mean, Derek Carr, I mean, is Trey Lance going to be ready? I think that's the big question.
Which may be a big thing, too, for Garoppolo to go somewhere where they're going to draft one of these rookies to sit behind him for a year or two.
Everyone thinks there's a chance that Rodgers ends up in San Fran, which is, like, not going to happen. Unless the Niners are like, okay, here's, like, 4 firsts and, like, 3 seconds.
Like what if
the Packers aren't going to do that?
What if Jimmy G goes to Houston and Bryce Young has been for 2 years, plus he's coming over with the Niners, what was he? He was their defensive coordinator, but what if he brings Jimmy G with him?
I think Houston, given him a 6-year deal, which we'll get to, I think they're just gonna draft one, let him go.
Well, so I didn't know if you'd let Jimmy G, a veteran.
Jimmy G's only I think Indy or Carolina for him. Maybe the Jets if they don't get Rodgers or Carr. So Or Tampa. Who knows? Or New England. No, not New England, but maybe Tampa. Tampa's only quarterback right now is a fellow out of Florida.
Well, they still have Blaine Gabbert.
I don't think he's under contract.
Yeah.
I think the only one under contract is
Kyle Trask.
Trask, yeah.
And Ryan Griffin, who they've had on their practice squad for like 8 years.
There you
go. Kellen Moore is out as offensive coordinator for the Cowboys after 4 years, which we might as well already say the Chargers hired Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they're just going to ruin Herbert Moore.
So he wasn't off the market very long. It was only like a day after he got fired from Dallas that the Chargers are like, oh, come on over.
Yep.
And then the Broncos and Saints reach a deal for Sean Payton. Saints get a 2023 first round, which is the 29th pick, and a 2024 second round. The Broncos get a 2024 third round pick and Coach Payton.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Payton has some terrific PR. Terrific.
Question, how much does his contract say the same as what it was, or do the Saints still have to pay for some of it? That wasn't discussed in any of anything I saw.
I do not know. Yeah, I mean, we may as well get to the next thing, and then I'll talk about Sean Payton.
Tom Brady officially retired this morning. 23-year historic career.
Yeah, I feel like we did this song and dance last year when he retired and then came back. I don't think he's coming back this time. I think it's over.
Yeah, this video, he made it seem like
he made it pretty clear that he's done, which, it's not surprising. I don't really have much to add. Obviously, everybody knows the resume, the greatest of all time. We all know that that's true.
I was surprised in his video that he said he had no regrets about anything. So, no regrets about the divorce or anything. He said no regrets about anything.
No regrets coming back this year and
that's
being
what I'm
terrible.
Getting at. Well,
yeah.
That and then that leading to the divorce.
Yeah, not good. But what can you do? Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton have nearly identical resumes, folks. I don't think a lot of people realize this. It's starting to go around finally, but their narratives wildly different. Wildly. Let's take a peek here, huh? Okay, McCarthy, 16 seasons, Sean Payton, 15 seasons. Record, McCarthy 155 and 97 for an 614 win percentage. And Payton is 152 and 89 for a 631 win percentage. Okay, he's got the advantage there. Losing seasons, they both have 4. Playoff appearances, McCarthy 11, Payton 9. Playoff record, McCarthy 11 and 10, Payton 9 and 8. Both have 1 Super Bowl. They're both 1-0 in the Super Bowl. Conference title game appearances, Payton 3, McCarthy 4. Record, Payton 1 and 2, McCarthy 1 and 3. So, I mean, they both had Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They both won a Super Bowl with them. I think a couple reasons why the narratives are so much different with these guys is probably because it ended really badly in Green Bay for McCarthy, and his first year in Dallas wasn't great. First 2 years probably, even though he didn't have Dak the first year. I think Dak got hurt that year.
And Payton had a city year because of the whole bounty scandal.
That's another thing. I don't get it. I feel like Big Mike gets a bad rap sometimes, and then we act like Sean Payton is God's gift to coaching. Like, he's a good coach, but we can't pretend like he's this Hall of Fame automatic top 5 of all time like people talk about him.
No, I'm curious of what he'll do in that offense now.
And think about what the Broncos have invested in a coach and a quarterback. It's literally insane. And they have no chance to win anything. No chance. They're not getting through the Chiefs, Bills, or Bengals in the AFC anytime soon.
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm excited to see what he can do with that offense. He's got a good receiving core because they had which one? Was it Cortland Sutton or another one who tore his ACL in training camp and was out all year?
Somebody, yeah. Well,
or not, Tim Patrick.
Yeah, they're gonna go 7-10. Book it right now.
But if they can get a little scat back like Kamara for him to work with too,
They got Javonte Williams when he's back. He tore his ACL in like October.
Yeah,
He's
but is he
good.
more of a scat back or is he like the power back? Like they need the Mark Ingram Kamara combo,
I would say he's more Kamara than Ingram.
so they need an Ingram.
They got what's his face?
Is
Melvin
Latavius
Gordon.
Murray?
No, he's gone. I
Is
don't know.
Latavius Murray there? Did he end the year there?
Get the dude from Utah. They should draft the dude from Utah, Tavion Thomas or whatever. He's a big back. Yeah, so and also Jerry Jones says McCarthy will call plays in 2023, which isn't surprising. We haven't seen Mike call plays in a long time because he wasn't calling plays towards the end in Green Bay. So it's be interesting to see him call plays.
So don't even need to hire a new OC there.
Well, get somebody in there for name, title, and stuff, Let's see. The Panthers hire Frank Reich as their new head coach over Steve Wilkes, who's the interim.
Yeah.
Sean Payton and 7 others were candidates for that job. So we'll see. I mean, Frank Reich probably got the short end of the stick in Indy. Quarterback carousel. Injuries this season. And the interim came in, won 1 game, and then totally mailed it in. And he still has a chance to get the Indy job, which is insane to me.
Reich's coming in. He's got a good defense.
Yeah, I like the hire. I think it's a good hire.
They just need to figure out their offense.
Yeah, and they got the pieces there. I mean, you could draft a running back or sign one. I think they'd be a perfect fit for like David Montgomery if he hits free agency, or if you want to pay Pollard and wait for him to come back healthy.
Well, I mean, you had decent running backs. I think you just need to work on your line. Yeah. Chuba Hubbard and Donta Foreman.
They got good tackles, Taylor Moton and Ike Ekwonu, a couple good tackles.
Well, they traded one of their receivers away, so maybe they need to get a receiver.
They got DJ Moore still, and maybe they'll call about Chris Godwin. I can see that being a fit.
No.
Even though it's in the division, I guess it's something to think about. Or Mike Evans, obviously, is going to get
You're
traded
all
to
about the Bucks getting rid of them.
Well, I mean, there's no Brady. You're going to have to rebuild a little bit. There's no quarterback that's going to come in and win with that team.
You're not getting rid of those two.
I guarantee
we discussed last week that Mike Evans, there's talks about him even trading, he's retiring.
If he was willing to be traded and the Bucks got like a first for him, I would. If I were a Bucks fan, I would do that instantly. But I don't have the connection.
But he's retiring.
Sure. Niners defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans gets a 6-year deal with the Texans as their head coach. I think this is a great hire. 2 years of 2 head coaches for them, pretty much by design. Now you get a young one in there who's had great success in the defensive side of the ball.
And played in Houston.
Yeah. And it seems like he took this job over Denver, which I think makes total sense because this job, I guarantee you have a little bit more control. You can pretty much build your own roster, get your own quarterback.
J.J. Watt shared a picture of them together in Houston. So what if Watt comes back as some sort of assistant?
I don't know if J.J. Watt wants to do coaching, but maybe he does. But yeah, I think this is a good hire as well. No criticism there. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert underwent shoulder surgery to repair a torn labrum. He should be back by training camp. So that's why they lost in the playoffs. Haha. It wasn't his fault, folks. It wasn't his fault. I assume this was left shoulder. Could have been right, but you never know. Let's see. The NFL tells the teams that the salary cap will be $224.8 million next year, which I don't know how big of an increase that is, but I believe it is an increase of like double-digit millions from last year to this year. So a lot of money, obviously, in the NFL. I think the cap right now is like 213 or 212. I'm not 100% sure on that. Then the Pro Bowl substitutes were announced. That's tough subject. Yeah, I can hear you.
My mic went out.
The Pro Bowl is an absolute joke. So let's just say the fact that Tyler Huntley's in the Pro Bowl.
That was my main thing.
Is
wow. He was put in. He threw 2 touchdowns on the year, and he is pulled in as a sub because 2 was out with his concussion.
Josh Allen's faking injury to play in Pebble Beach Pro Am.
Who else were there?
Mahomes,
Lamar with his injury, and there was another injury. So there's Huntley, Carr, and I forgot who the third one was. But Derek Carr's like, Hey, glad to make another Pro Bowl. Let's go Vegas.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I think this might be the first Pro Bowl ever where two of the three quarterbacks on one of the teams, even though it's not even a game, it's just like festivities or whatever, might be on a different team the next season.
Herbert might have been the other one that made it and was hurt.
I'm sure Burrow didn't want to do it, right?
Yeah, I think. Well, he's going to be there. He's just not participating in the game.
If the Pro Bowl didn't mean anything before, it certainly doesn't mean anything now. So,
like, he's going and he might do stuff in the, the passing competitions and stuff, but he's not playing in the game.
Gotcha. Let's get to the golf.
You had last week in the Farmers Insurance Open. Winner was Max Homa, friend of the show. Won 1.6 million, shot 13 under.
I told you I wanted to pick him. I wish we would have been able to pick last week. I wanted to pick him. If Max has any chance of winning a tournament on the last day, which it was Saturday in this case, typically Sunday, he's usually going to be able to come through. I mean, he's a killer out there, just making everything and hitting the right shots.
If we did say the picks we had, I hit on two of them.
I didn't even make picks. I just wanted to pick Max Homa.
Yeah, I had Tony Finau to finish top 10. He finished tied for 9th. And then I had Keegan Bradley top 20. He finished second at 11 under.
Well, that's 6 wins for Max on the PGA Tour now. One more, he'll tie Brady. He's already tied with Jordan. So there you go.
He beat the 4-play guys. But did he lose to Bob Does Sports?
No, he beat him. He shot a 60 in that video. He was like a foot away from a 59.
That's
tough
right.
scene.
And then this weekend you have the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am defending champion Tom Hogue. This is at Spyglass Hill golf course in Pebble Beach, and also Pebble Beach Golf Links and Monterey Peninsula Country Club, the Shore course.
And we will get picks in later on that. College basketball.
Yeah, top 25. Purdue stays at 1. Tennessee up 2-2. Houston stays put at 3. Alabama drops 2-4, and Arizona up 1-5.
Virginia up 1-6. K-State drops 2-7. Kansas up 1-8. UCLA down 1-9. Texas stays at 10.
Baylor up 6-11. Gonzaga up 2-12. Iowa State down 1-13. Marquette up 2-14. TCU down 4-15.
Xavier drops 3-16. Providence drops up 6-17. St. Mary's up 4-18. Florida Atlantic up 2-19. Clemson up 4-20.
Indiana jumps in at 21, which will bring unranked. They'll be back unranked after this week. San Diego State unranked at 22. They'll be back out. Miami down 3-23. UConn down 5-24. And Auburn down 10-25.
If Indiana beats Purdue Saturday, they might stay in. I know they lost yesterday, but if they beat Purdue, they might stay in. Alabama with the best blowout win of the season over Vanderbilt last night, 101-44, an embarrassment. This was at Vanderbilt. I mean, just an absolute beatdown. It was 43-15 at the half. This was a revenge spot, or I guess a bounce back spot, actually, for Alabama after losing in Norman to Oklahoma on Saturday. Alabama show why they're at worst a top 4 team in the country, probably. So, they're elite. And they have Brandon Miller, who in my opinion might be the best NBA prospect in college basketball, because he won't be a top 2 pick, because I think that's pretty much reserved for Victor Wembanyama, who's in France, and then Scoot Henderson, who's in the G League. But he'll be a top 5 pick, I would think, and maybe number 3. So Alabama's really good. And then Kansas got revenge on Kansas State, 90-78. Kansas State needed their All-Americans to step up in this game, and they did, but Kansas was better. Kansas lost 3 in a row. They bounced back with wins over Kentucky, who's not great anyway, and then they did beat K-State, obviously K-State beating them at home a couple weeks ago. But, yeah, Kansas State's still a really good team. Kansas starting to figure it out again. I'll be interested to see how Kansas plays in March. I think they are a team that can get away without having a true number 5. Because last year, obviously, they had David McCormick, who could do things at the 5. I was a little bit worried about how they might play against Oscar Sheboy on Saturday against Kentucky, but they handled it fine. A lot of talent for Kansas. They'll be fine in the tournament, but I'll be curious to see what teams, like the best team in the country has the best center in the country. So I'll be curious to see how Purdue figures things out in the tournament. And some of the teams right now that you can see making a deep run have the bigs. Like the ACC is a great example of that. Your Blue Devils, I think Filipowski's maybe been the best player in the ACC this season, and Baycott from North Carolina. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I was telling someone last night, I'm like, if Derek Lively leads after this year, it's the worst one and done ever.
Yeah, he's not an NBA prospect. I told you this like 2 months ago. He ain't no NBA prospect, at least right now. Their NBA prospects are Tyrese Proctor, Derek Whitehead, Kyle Filipowski.
Maybe Roach,
like a late second round, probably like ninth man role, backup point guard somewhere maybe. But like, yeah, Lively's not that. All right, Major League Baseball. The Marlins and Red Sox agree to a trade. The Marlins get DFA'd relief pitcher Matt Barnes. The Red Sox pays $5.625 million of his contract, and the Red Sox get left-handed reliever Richard Blyer in this deal. So kind of a minor deal, but Marlins trying to fix their bullpen or something, I guess.
Yeah, I think his contract was worth like 10.5. So the Red Sox have to pay over half of it.
Yeah, he's been struggling since he signed that.
And then Greinke and the Royals agreed to a deal for the 2023 season. So comes back home last year, gets to pitch again. Then here's some notable active starting pitchers with Hall of Fame credentials. You got Kershaw, 2,581 innings pitched, 157 ERA plus 3 Cy Young awards. Max Scherzer, 2,682 innings, 135 ERA plus 3 Cy Young awards. Verlander, 3,163 innings pitched, 132 ERA positive, 3 Cy Young awards. Zach Greinke, 3,247 innings pitched, 123 ERA plus 1 Cy Young award.
Not bad.
And then there are 320 active MLB players with 1,000 or more plate appearances. Only 7 of them have a batting average of 300 or better. You think of any?
Can you repeat the question?
Well, there are 320 active MLB players with 1,000 or more plate appearances. Only 7 of them have a batting average of 300 or better.
Mike Trout.
Yeah, he's at 5 at 303. Number 7's Robinson Cano at 301.
Bum. Miguel Cabrera.
He's at 2 at 308.
Okay. 1,000 plate appearances.
One just got a major deal this offseason.
Okay. Trey Turner.
Yep, he's at 6 at 302.
All right. Let's throw. What about Freddie Freeman?
Nope.
Mookie Betts.
Nope.
Damn it.
One just won a World Series again.
Okay. That would be Jose Altuve.
Yeah, he's at 4th at 307.
All right.
And you got a Met.
That would be, Mets. Jeff McNeil.
Yep, 307.
Ooh, I'm on fire now.
Last one.
Sheet hints.
Last one. Big name. I think, was he just traded? Luis Arias.
Yeah, he was traded to Miami.
314.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that if I got like 30 guesses.
Then
Unless you would have given me hints.
The last base thing. Pete Rose is the only player in Major League Baseball history to play more than 500 games at 5 different positions. Played 939 at first, 628 at second, 634 at third, 671 in left, and 595 in right.
Yet he's not a Hall of Famer. So great job there by the Baseball Hall of Fame. Terrific. Because definitely we want to see you grandstanding.
Yeah,
Certainly.
that's what I was thinking, because we were talking about the Hall of Fame last week. Thought that could show another reason of why he should be there.
Certainly. All right. The NHL is where we head next. The Islanders trade for former Canucks captain Bo Horvat. The Canucks get a top 12 protected pick in 2023 that goes to 2024 if the Islanders are in the top 12 of the draft. And they also get 2022 second-round pick Atu Ratu and forward Anthony Beauvillier. So the big thing here is this kind of sets the market. You're going to have names like Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, Timo Meier, other names on the market. I can't even think of any others right now with the deadline. The deadline's still not till March. This is a very early deal to get this done, and this was maybe the biggest name because I think he has, 54 points in 49 games this year, so he's been terrific. And the Islanders are not exactly, in a playoff spot right now, so bit of a chance here, but it makes sense with the protection of their pick. Ratu is a guy that was like a year before the 2022 draft. He was supposed to be the number one pick, so a lot of talent there, but fell to the second round, so that's a good pickup for the Canucks if they can develop him. And then Beauvillier is a guy who was really good the last few seasons, and this season he's really fallen off. So
his name's pronounced Ratu?
Yep, Atu Ratu. He's got a brother as well. I don't know his name.
Because it's spelled R-A-T-Y.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but yep. I like the deal for both sides. I think I might like it more for the Canucks depending on what happens with the 2023 pick. But this is a good deal, and this definitely sets the market. So I'll be curious to see how Toronto or Carolina or the Rangers or the Devils, how they approach this deadline. Because I'm really just hoping somebody is willing to overpay for Tarasenko and O'Reilly. That's kind of my stance right now. Because I'm sure every jersey I've ever hung up in here, except for Tarasenko and I have Aaron Rodgers over there, both of those guys are probably getting traded this year. And I had Dexter Fowler. He got traded. Had Matt Carpenter. Let him walk. So if you have a jersey on the wall here, you're going to get traded or they're going to let you go. So that's where we're at on that. Then you had Hall of Famer Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, passing away at the age of 84 on Monday. Condolences to Brett Hull, his son, and the family there. Terrific player, like one of the best of all time at what he did. So all right,
for the Blackhawks, right?
Yeah, big Chicago Blackhawks icon probably in the franchise's history. And the weird part is his son is like an icon in St. Louis. So it's weird how life works sometimes. So thoughts with his family.
And then the Leafs lose Matthews for at least 3 weeks due to a knee issue.
Got to get him back. Maybe it'll make him more desperate down the middle. Like, oh, whoops, we just gave up Matthew Nyes and 2 first-round picks for Ryan O'Reilly. Whoopsie. Maybe their GM's listening to this. I don't know. Stat leaders through January 31st as the All-Star break in the NHL is upon us, and Connor McDavid almost reached a century mark before the break. 92 points. He leads the league. He's 16 ahead of number 2. And I don't even know who number 2 is. I haven't checked in a while. It's probably Draisaitl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not bad. If only the Oilers could win games.
And D-man points still Erik Karlsson, 66. He's 11 ahead.
Rookie points, Matty Beniers, Seattle, 36. He's 7 ahead.
Goals, Connor McDavid, 41, 3 ahead, which I believe is of Pasta.
Yep. Defenseman goals, Erik Karlsson, 16. He's 2 ahead.
And rookie goals is Beniers at 17, 4 ahead.
Assist, Nikita Kucherov, 53, 2 ahead.
Karlsson is still D-assist at 50, 7 ahead.
Rookie assist, Cole Perfetti, Winnipeg, 22. He's 1 ahead.
Goal wins is still Linus Ullmark at 25, just 1 ahead.
Goalie save percentage, Ullmark as well, 936. He's 0.013 ahead.
And team point leaders is still the Bruins at 38, 7, and 5, at 81 points, 7 ahead. After losing 3 straight, play tonight, maybe get a win before the break.
7 losses. What a bunch of losers. NHL All-Star Weekend is February 3rd and 4th. So this weekend it'll be in Florida. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be weird for the fact that Horvat is going to be wearing an Islanders jersey while playing for the Pacific team. How about that? Very interesting there. Should have let him lace him up one last time for the Canucks, but Lamoriello had to make the trade now, like a month before the deadline. It's just so weird. But whatever, get out in front of it, I guess. College football.
You had an audit showed that LSU accidentally overpaid Brian Kelly $1 million last year.
That's good. Good stuff by them. Very nice.
I mean, how do you accidentally overpay him $1 million?
When the person auditing or the person doing the payroll is an idiot, probably, if I had to guess. I assume that's the only way that could happen.
And then Vols quarterback Hendon Hooker says the NFL will see an even better version of himself.
If he gets a chance, he's pretty old.
You're all about his age thing.
It's how teams think. It's the same thing in the NBA.
And if he can get to the same place as his number one receiver at Tennessee,
he's 25 years old. I mean, that is a tough sell for NFL teams. Kenny Pickett was barely a first-round pick because he was 24. It's a tough spot. They like the younger one.
Starting quarterback.
That's the problem, is that Hendon Hooker will be, if he's a first-round pick, his rookie deal will be over when he's 30, which he won't be a first-round pick, but he'll be 30 by the time anybody knows anything about him. It's the problem.
I'm not saying he's going to be a first-round pick, but if he can get to the same spot as his receiver he had at Tennessee.
Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. This guy's not getting drafted. Stetson Bennett arrested for public intoxication Sunday morning in Dallas. You'd think someone of his mature age, he wouldn't be doing something like this.
Oh, yeah, because here's another age thing.
I mean, he ain't getting drafted. He's like 28. See ya.
Got a lot of knowledge there.
Yep.
And national champions.
Terrific. Buckeye great James Laurinaitis will join the Ohio State staff as a defensive assistant.
As a defensive graduate assistant.
Yes. There you go. AJ Hawks next, folks.
Yeah, right.
On to the betting picks.
Last week I went 11-1. My only loss was the Devils' loss to the Preds.
I went 7-5. No further comment.
What else would you lose on?
College basketball was horrific, 2-4. NFL, I lost the AFC title game, and then I swept the NHL and the NBA.
Man, I should have parlayed my college basketball picks.
You could have. All right, Pebble Beach Pro-Am picks.
To win, I have Matthew Fitzpatrick plus 1,000, Victor Hovland plus 1,100, and then Seamus Power plus 2,200.
I have Maverick McNeely plus 1,800, Justin Rose plus 3,500, and Davis Riley, of course, that returns plus 5,500.
I have a feeling you're doing something here. My top five is Tom Hogue at plus 450.
I have a guy who's played very well here in his career and probably would have won if not for Hoagie last year. Jordan Spieth plus 300 to finish top 5.
This is kind of what I was getting at, though. You were up to something because
plus 300. That's not that high.
He was also the number 2 guy for to win.
Yeah, but you picked the defending champ to finish top 5. I mean, come on.
I like these other guys to win better.
My next picks are a little bit out there.
My top 10 is Matt Kuchar plus 350.
My top 10 is Denny McCarthy plus 400.
My top 20 is Bo Hostler plus 260.
My top 20 is Garrick Higo, the lefty, plus 400.
And top 40, Harry Higgs plus 200.
My top 40 is Ben Silverman plus 250, not to be confused with the Ben Silverman who helped start the U.S. version of The Office, and he's playing with Aaron Rodgers this week, and Darius Rucker's in their group as well. Ben Silverman plus 250, top 40. Never heard of him until today. There you go.
NBA for tonight. Got the Warriors minus 3.5 over the Timberwolves, and the Suns -1 over the Hawks.
Tough one there. I'm taking the Jazz -3 against the Raptors and the Nets +9 at the Celtics. Why not? I'm sure the Celtics will win by 30, but I'm just taking a shot there. College hoops.
Thursday, I have Florida Atlantic over UAB and St. Mary's over San Francisco.
UAB could be an upset spot there. They got a lot of offensive talent. I don't know. It's a tough spot. I got St. Mary's over San Francisco and Arizona over Oregon.
That could be a good game.
Yep.
Friday, I have Penn over Columbia and Ball State over Eastern Michigan. It was a good Ivy League matchup. It was, dang it. Go ahead with yours while I look that up.
I have St. Louis over VCU and Kent State over Akron.
I looked at that game, and after the way those teams played last night,
Ivy League, Yale, Harvard.
no, the Cornell Princeton game.
Cornell
15 and 5 versus 14-6, both 5-2 in the league.
Yep. Saturday.
I have Kansas over Iowa State and Tennessee over Auburn.
I have Purdue over Indiana and North Carolina over Duke.
Sunday, on the American, I have Wichita State over Tulsa. And Big East, I have Seton Hall over DePaul.
I have Michigan over Ohio State and Wisconsin over Northwestern. All right. That'll do for us. We'll be back next week, preview the Super Bowl, talk Pebble Beach, trade deadline, the NBA. Lots to cover next week, and we will see you then.